Here's a strange fact. Scientists recently opened donated human brain tissue and found plastic in it, an amount that, in some samples, weighed about as much as a plastic spoon. And it wasn't just the brain. Other researchers looked at the arteries removed from real heart patients and found plastic lodged inside the fatty plaque that clogs blood vessels. So today, we're going to break down what these studies actually found, how plastic even gets into an organ as protected as the brain, what you can realistically do about it, and whether you can test your own blood for it. Let's start with the brain study, published in early 2025 in the journal Nature Medicine, from a team at the University of New Mexico. They studied donated brain tissue from people who had died in 2016 and compared it to brain tissue from people who died in 2024. Same test, same lab, 8 years apart. Here's what stood out. Brain samples from 2024 had roughly 50% more microplastic than the 2016 samples on average. The concentration in brain tissue was far higher than in the liver or kidney. Some estimates put it at 7 to 30 times higher. The total amount in an average brain sample worked out to about 7 grams. Again, roughly the weight of a plastic spoon. Brains from people who had been diagnosed with dementia before death had 3 to 5 times more plastic than brains without a dementia diagnosis. Now, important nuance here. More plastic in dementia patients does not mean plastic causes dementia. It could also be that a brain already affected by disease has a harder time clearing waste, plastic included. The researchers were upfront that this is a correlation, not a proven cause. But it's a big enough signal that more research is already underway. Separately, a team in Italy, led by cardiologist Raffaele Marfella, looked at arterial plaque removed from over 250 patients during a common surgery for clogged arteries. About 6 in 10 patients had microplastic, mostly polyethylene, the plastic used in bags and bottles, embedded in that plaque. The patients who had plastic in their plaque were about 4.5 times more likely to have a heart attack, stroke, or die within the next 3 years compared to patients whose plaque had no detectable plastic. Again, this doesn't prove plastic caused those events. Other health factors matter too. But it's the first time this link has shown up in real patients, not just lab animals. This is the part people usually ask about first. How does something as tough as plastic end up inside a brain, which is protected by the blood-brain barrier, basically a security checkpoint that's supposed to keep harmful stuff out? Here's the honest answer. We don't fully know yet. But here's what scientists think is happening step by step. Plastic breaks down everywhere. Bottles, food containers, synthetic clothing, tires, packaging. All of it slowly sheds tiny fragments as it ages, gets washed, or gets exposed to heat and sunlight. These fragments range from microplastics, smaller than a grain of rice, down to nanoplastics, pieces so small they're measured in billionths of a meter. We take them in 3 main ways: eating, drinking, and breathing. Food, tap and bottled water, and household dust all carry microplastic. Seafood, salt, and heavily packaged or processed foods have tested especially high in various studies. The gut absorbs some of it. Once swallowed, the smallest nanoplastic particles appear to be able to cross the gut lining and get into the bloodstream, the same way certain nutrients do. From the blood, they travel. Once in circulation, these tiny particles can reach organs throughout the body. The really small ones, nanoplastics, appear to be small enough to slip past the blood-brain barrier, something scientists didn't expect plastic to be capable of. They may not leave easily. Unlike food particles that get broken down and used or excreted, plastic doesn't fully break down in the body. That's part of why levels seem to be building up over time rather than staying flat. The size matters a lot here. Microplastics are generally too big to cross into the brain easily. Nanoplastics, the tiniest fragments, are the ones researchers believe are doing most of the sneaking in. Realistically, you can't get your exposure to zero. Plastic is genuinely everywhere now, including in rain and snow. But you can meaningfully cut down how much you're taking in. Here's what's actually backed by evidence, not just internet advice: drinking water. Bottled water has tested far higher in microplastics than tap water. One widely cited 2024 study found roughly 240,000 plastic fragments in a single liter of bottled water, most of them nanoplastics. Swap to a reusable glass, steel, or ceramic bottle, and filter tap water with a filter certified for particle reduction if you're concerned about your local water quality. Boiling and then straining tap water has also been linked to lower microplastic content in some early studies. In the kitchen, skip plastic cutting boards. Every cut with a knife shaves off tiny plastic fragments. Switch to wood or bamboo. Don't microwave food in plastic containers, and don't put hot food straight into plastic. Heat dramatically increases how much plastic and how many chemicals leach out. Move leftovers into glass, ceramic, or stainless steel containers instead of storing them in the plastic they came in. Non-stick pans with scratched coatings can shed particles. Cast iron, stainless steel, or ceramic-coated pans are sturdier alternatives. Daily habits. Wash synthetic clothing, polyester, nylon, spandex, acrylic in cold water, and skip the dryer when you can. The heat and friction are what break down synthetic fibers into microfibers, one of the biggest contributors to household microplastic. Dust and vacuum regularly, ideally with a HEPA filter. A decent chunk of indoor microplastic exposure actually comes from breathing in settled dust, not just food. Choose cotton or linen sheets and clothing where practical. Where to look for lower microplastic food sources. Fresh. Whole foods with minimal packaging generally test lower than heavily processed, plastic-wrapped foods. Farmers markets and butcher-counter meat or fish, wrapped in paper, not styrofoam trays with plastic film, tend to have less direct plastic contact than pre-packaged supermarket versions. Buying dry goods, grains, beans, nuts, in bulk bins with your own reusable bags or containers cuts down on packaging-related shedding. Canned foods with plastic resin linings and shelf-stable meals wrapped tightly in cling film are worth cutting back on if you're trying to lower exposure. Glass jars and metal cans without plastic liners are a better bet. One study found that switching to a fresh, home-cooked, minimally packaged diet for just 3 days lowered plastic-related chemical markers in urine by over 50%, which suggests your body can start clearing some of this out quickly once exposure drops. None of this needs to be perfect or expensive. Small, consistent swaps add up more than one dramatic overhaul. Short answer, sort of, but the tools are very new, and there's no official normal range yet. A handful of companies now sell at-home finger prick blood tests that claim to estimate the number, size, and type of microplastic particles in your blood. You collect a small sample yourself, mail it to a lab, and get a report back showing your particle count compared to other people who've taken the same test. Here's the honest caveat, straight from people who've actually tried these kits. You get a number, but not much context. There's currently no established medical reference range that tells you what counts as high or concerning. The science on human health effects is still catching up to the testing technology. Most hospitals and standard medical labs still don't offer this kind of testing at all. It's mainly available through smaller, direct-to-consumer wellness companies right now, so treat the results as personal curiosity or a way to track your own trend over time rather than a diagnostic tool. If you do try one, the more useful approach is to test once, make some of the changes we just covered, and test again in a few weeks to see whether your own number moved, rather than fixating on the single result. To sum it all up, plastic is showing up in human brains and hearts at levels that are genuinely surprising researchers, and the amount appears to be climbing year over year. We don't yet know exactly what this means for long-term health. The link to dementia and heart events is a correlation worth watching, not a proven cause. But you don't need to wait for certainty to make a few smart swaps. Better water habits, glass over plastic in the kitchen, cold water laundry for synthetic fabrics, and leaning toward fresh, less packaged food. If this was useful, subscribe for more science breakdowns like this one, and let me know in the comments. Are you going to change anything after watching this?